When I was younger, anytime I sensed danger or something didn't feel right, seeing a police officer or an armed security guard instantly made me feel safer. Their presence felt like a shield. I believed that if something went wrong, they were the ones to step in and protect me. But the more I trained and the more time I spent around people who carry a firearm for a living, the more I realized something I never expected. A uniform gives the appearance of readiness, but it doesn't guarantee it. The confidence I placed in the uniform wasn't based on evidence. It was based on an assumption that I had never questioned. What training showed me is that competence in law enforcement and armed security falls on a very broad spectrum. Some officers and guards take training seriously, stay sharp, and continuously push themselves to improve. But many sit on the lower end of that spectrum, meeting only the minimum standards, rarely practicing outside of mandatory qualifications, and sometimes struggling with the basic tools of their job. The expertise I thought was automatic often isn't. And that led me to a simple but serious question. Can you trust someone whose skill level you don't know to protect you and your family in a crisis? Now, once I started looking, I saw this pattern everywhere. I know mechanics whose cars are barely running. I see barbers walking around with jacked up haircuts. Doctors who are in worse shape than their own patients. People spend all day doing something for their job, and by the time they clock out, they don't want to think about it until the next day. They don't sharpen their skills, they don't learn anything new, and in most jobs, that's probably not a big deal. But when someone's role involves protecting lives, that kind of neglect becomes dangerous. When seconds matter, complacency, fatigue, and minimal training can cost lives. And to be very clear, this isn't an attack on law enforcement. I respect the work they do and the risks they take. But just like any profession, skill levels vary dramatically. Some are exceptional, some are average, and yes, some should probably find a new career. What makes this even more serious is that you can't tell who is who. There's no special uniform for the officer who trains every week versus the one who shoots once a year. No stripe that says this one is confident and competent, and another that says, oh, if you need this one, good luck. And that's where reality hits hard. Because when seconds count, is it really a good idea to wait for someone you don't know, someone whose level of skill, training, or even level of care you can't confirm, and someone you're not even sure will show up in time or at all? Because here's the truth. When you call for help, you don't get to choose who responds. You don't get to request the most prepared officer. You don't get to pick the most dedicated guard. You get whoever is closest, whoever is available, whoever answers the call, and you have no idea what their level of readiness is. And that's why, whether you choose to own a firearm or not, you cannot live under the illusion that a highly trained, highly competent professional is guaranteed to show up and save you and your family when danger arrives. Because you don't control who comes, you don't control when they arrive, and you don't control how well trained they are. So regardless of how you feel about firearms, don't build your safety plan around the hope that someone more capable or more committed is coming to protect you. Our families rely on us for their safety. They look to us when something goes wrong, when danger appears, when seconds matter. They don't have time for us to be idealistic or naive about who might come when we call for help. That's why preparation matters. That's why awareness matters. And that's why your readiness matters far more than the uniform on any stranger. Training isn't just about accuracy or mechanics. It's about clarity in the middle of chaos. Real training helps you make decisions when fear and stress take over. It gives you a mental framework to pull from when your heart is pounding and your hands are shaking, so you're not relying solely on panic or emotion, but more so on practiced judgment. Because in a crisis, you will fall to the level of your training, not rise to the level of your hopes. If you choose to own a firearm, take that responsibility seriously. Learn the laws, train often, teach your family, build habits that hold up under pressure. But even if you choose not to own one, build a realistic plan for your safety that doesn't rely on luck or assumptions. Because when it comes down to it, I refuse to trust chance, guesswork, or strangers with my family's safety. I trust preparation, I trust training, and I trust responsibility. And all of that starts with me. But before I close, I want to give a shout out to the LAX Collective, a group of gun owners who train together, support one another, and commit ourselves to being part of the responsible solution for defending our communities. We take training seriously, we take safety seriously, and we take community seriously. That's the kind of collaboration that makes us all safer. I also want to recognize the California Rifle and Pistol Association. They fight every single day to make sure people in California still have the ability and the right to protect themselves and their families. Their work often goes unseen, but it is absolutely essential. Now, I'll have our affiliate link in the description so you can join and contribute to the CRPA. Because if we want our rights protected, we have to support the people who are out there supporting us. Thank you.